Hello everyone, welcome to the wrap up. So what month is it now? It's May and oh yes, it's April wrap up. So I read a total of 6 books, 5 if you don't include the book I DNF'd this month. And so let's get into it because I want this to be quick, simple and easy and I don't want to daddle on too much. Let me get my notebook back again. The first book I read, well, first 3 books I read were a part of a reading challenge idea that I had planned, and that was reading 3 hyped YA popular series. And those books were Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I don't want to get too much into it in this one because I already have done like a book talk or a review about it, so I'll just quickly say, was it a success? I'm very happy with the outcome of it. I'll leave the videos linked in the video and down below in the description box if you want to have a look at it. I'll leave the reading vlog as well if you want to look at it. If you don't, I understand because it is a long video. But I do have the review if you just want to watch the review. Now, let's get the worst book out of the way, huh? So the worst book is actually the DNF I did, and it's really making me question whether to keep the rest of the books in the trilogy or series on my shelves. And that is You Love Me, which is the 3rd book in the You series by Caroline Kepnes. Yeah, could not stand this book at all. If you don't know what You is, it's about Joe Goldberg. He works in a like this is the series as a whole, right? He works in a series. He works in a library in New York City. It's actually not a library, it's a bookshop. So, again, in New York City, a young woman walks into his bookshop and he instantly becomes infatuated with her, which then turns into him being a stalker. I think he was always a bit of a stalker, but he's a stalker. I don't even know how to explain it to you, but yeah. But in the 3rd one, he is done with the cities. He's done with love, and also love as in the person love. This is how I feel about the book series. I don't even know how to talk about it. That's how like freaking good the series is. And Joe in this 3rd one is living in like a little town in like the northwest somewhere there. Oh, okay. I DNF this at around like 20%, right? And I can't even tell you what rating I want to give it, because let's not talk about the ratings, let's talk about why I did not like this damn book. I had to keep rereading the first few sentences because my brain was, I think it was me reading those first few sentences that made me realize, oh crap, this book is not going to be good. Joe's stalkery tendencies, or his obsession with women and him stalking them, it seems to be more amplified in this book. I didn't have a problem with it in books 1 and 2, but this one, I just felt like it was so much more darker, and his inner thoughts about how he viewed women made me feel very uncomfortable. Like, it was too hypersexualized for me. Like, I just wanted to punch him in the face. I really did. I have read books before where women were a bit sexualized, but they never affected me and my ability to read like that book that had the sexualization in it. But this one, I couldn't do it. I could not do it at all. It just feels like Joe was pushing it, and the side characters were no better. They were atrocious, the side characters. I actually like it when characters in thriller books are unlikable or a bit dark in nature, but this one, no, I'm sorry, those side characters were absolutely atrocious and were absolutely pieces of shit. You see you see my reaction to this book? We did get to see a little bit of what happened, but it was all show. No, it wasn't even all show, it was just telling you about what happened in after the events of like the 2nd book, and we didn't just, I can't talk about this without getting angry. I really can't. When I realized I was going to be DNFing this book, I ended up looking at spoilers to see what was going to happen, and thank goodness I DNF'd it when I did, because it just seemed like it got worse. This book probably should not have happened, and if it did, I would have liked to have seen him in that whole jail prison time, because apparently he did go to jail for his stalkerish tendencies and his crimes that he did. But the way I feel about this third book is seriously making me reconsider having the other two books up on the shelves. I think I may have hyped up the book for the first book, You, a little bit too much for myself. I was like, oh yeah, it's so good, it's so different, and yada yada. But when I read the first book, I was like, yeah. No, I don't know what else to say. And I'm kind of rambling on a little bit, and I don't want to be rambling on now because I have some spoilery things to talk about at the end of this video. So yeah, I don't even know what rating to give it. That is how bad it is. And I'm going to talk about now a book and two books that I absolutely did love. Okay, the fourth book is it fourth? Oh my goodness. No, fifth one. You Love Me was actually the third. No, not the third, the fourth. This is the fifth one, and one I love. And that is, oh my god, what is it? The Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. It is actually books 0.7, not 0.75. Like I thought it was. On Goodreads it said 0.7 in the Witcher series, so oopsies. So this is the second volume of short story collections about Geralt, and which serves as a prequel to the main series, and I loved it. It continues on from the idea that, like, of equilibrium in the world, and you know how we always talk about how we need each other, like we need ants, we need bugs. If one goes extinct, that whole ecosystem could fail. That's kind of similar in this one as well. And we really get to see that because, especially in this one, because all the monsters are dying, right? Like all the monsters and the creatures that people wanted eradicated they're gone. A lot of them are gone now, and a lot of them have like gone away into like the vast wilderness where people don't go to. And I'm scared for Geralt. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, this book made me realize how dire the situation for witches are, because even witches are going extinct. They're either being killed or they're not working anymore, because that is their profession, to kill monsters. And if there's no monsters, what's going to happen to them, you know? Like, when all the witches go, is there going to be like a big influx again of creatures or monsters? Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I just love that. And like in the first one, it also deals with the conversation of who is the bigger evil. Is it the creatures that humans want killed, or is it the humans that want the creatures killed because they just can't live in harmony with one another? I had voiced my concerns about me not liking Yennefer and Geralt as a couple. I still feel like that in this book, but I have been reading some forums, right? And a lot of them say read the books, because the books and even the show being worse doesn't portray Yennefer correctly. Like, they kind of butchered her character a little bit. Like, I still don't like her. I don't know, I might have to wait until I get into the main series, and then I guess I'll see from there. I will give her another chance, but I'm not liking what I'm reading. I don't mind reading unlikable characters, but they still have to have something for me to enjoy about them, if you know what I'm trying to say. The friendship between Dandelion and Geralt is one I never thought I would need, but I loved their relationship. It's so funny and just like comedy gold, I tell ya. So good. Like, the way I would say it, they are complete polar opposites, yet they complete each other. We do actually get to see Dandelion more in this book, and he is a bit of a perv with women. Like, he sleeps around a lot, which that's fine, do what you want as long as you treat people with respect. But just know that going into it, like, it didn't affect my reading. So, and he's not always a perv with women. There is a female character who I adored. Her name is Essie. He was not like that. He actually did treat her with a little bit of respect. But like, the scenarios in which Dandelion found himself with women, I thought was hilarious. Just them throwing pans and pots at him, and he's like, oh, my love. And just like, nah, bitch, get the fuck out. Even though Dandelion is a bit of a perv, like I had said before, the relationship between Geralt and Dandelion kind of made up for that in a way. We do get to see Ciri towards the end of this book. She's a little bit bratty. Like, oh god, I'm really glad they did not have her being a bit bratty in the show. I actually really enjoyed Siri in the show. Just this one, it's kind of like that typical princess that was born in royalty. Like, she always constantly says, I'm a princess, you can't tell me what to do, I'm not gonna marry this person. She does have this whole mystery around her, and I'm very curious to see what that is, and I do like that about her, that she just knows things. I'm just very curious to see what her powers are going to be in the main series. Now, towards the end of the book is where I feel that the climax really ramped up, because we're seeing Siri, we're seeing the law of surprise, and we're just seeing that all come together into this big climax, which will eventually, not eventually, it will lead into the main series, and I really enjoyed that. I most likely do have more things to say about this, but that is the problem when you don't do daily note taking after you read chapters and stuff. I feel like this book had the most emotional impact on me, so that is why I gave it a 5 stars. Well, I'm pretty sure I gave it a 5 stars. I really love this book so much. The last book I have read is one of my most anticipated reads of 2021, and that is Crown of Gilded Bones, which is book 3 in the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I feel like we all know what this series is about. I talk about this book, not a lot, but it is one of the ones I have talked about. I haven't really talked, have I talked about this a lot? Well, anyway, it's a very incredibly popular series. And Poppy is a maiden. She can't look at anyone, she can't touch anyone, she can't like look at them, see them, yada da da da. I feel like I have talked about this book a lot though, so I'm not gonna delve too much into it, but this third one I really enjoyed. I did have some kind of mixed-ish feelings towards it, but I have written down some things that I think has cleared up my mind a little bit for how I feel towards some of those things I feel a bit conflicted about. Let's talk about some non-spoilery things first. So this is non-spoiler part of it, you're all good. The characters are the best in this book. We get to see more interaction with Kieran, Poppy and Castile, and even the side characters like Venetta and Delano, Emil, Nail, even Jasper we get a little bit. We get to see people that we've always heard about and that have always been mentioned. We get to see them as well. This book definitely is more political than the other 2 books. I will get into that in the spoilery section if you want to stay around for that, but it does get a bit more political. The characters are getting into their own, they're developing more, and they're learning they're just growing into their characters is what I'm trying to say. The romance, the steaminess is some of the best I have ever read. Wow, Jennifer L. Armentrout could write some really good sex scenes. She really truly can. Okay, I feel like that's all I have to touch up on in terms of non-spoilery things. And the plot does move on a little bit. There is a bit of a development with the plot as well. And it does actually feel like a bit more of a plot. Now let's get into the spoilery things, because I feel like I have to voice them, because I did end up doing a reading vlog for this, which I kind of made a bit of a mistake with. I should have had the reading vlog up first, but I want this wrap up to go up first, so keep an eye out for the reading vlog. Spoilers. I'm not going to lie to you when I say that I read these books purely for the characters and the romance between Poppy and Castile. They are top-notch shit right there. Now, as I said before, this book does have more politics in it. It is a bit more political. So when we got to see those elements of politics at play, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But the more I think about it, the more I think it actually has potential. Especially since we are getting the 4th book in the series this year, which is a shadow in the ember. And I'm hoping that will give me some answers to questions that I have, especially surrounding the politics in this book. So I think Jennifer L. Armentrout will deliver for the 4th one. I'm just hoping we get some answers, so it can like clear my brain up and I can figure out what the hell is going on here. In terms of potential with politics, and even with plot, I guess you could say, I do get like the sense that there are like some elements of the politics in this book I have seen in elements of other books that I have read that had politics. Not as strong as those other books, but they're definitely there in this book. Like, because there's a lot of political personal agendas, a lot of backstabbing, scheming, just lies and misinformation and murky, mysterious history, like, and lost history and forgotten history, and it all confuses you because the two political parties at play, the one in Kingdom of Solace and Kingdom of Atlantia, they both want to be right, they both want to rule, they both want to have the power. I really love that aspect of it because me having written down notes for it and me even talking about it, I can definitely get a better perspective of it, and I'm definitely clearing my mind up a little bit and I'm sorting through all the stuff and I think I'm getting it now. But I still need the fourth one though. And the world building, especially with the politics. The politics add to the world building, I feel, and it's definitely better than the first two books because we're seeing more. I think the reason why I'm feeling a bit conflicted about some things is because I don't think I was paying attention to the politics, to the foreshadowing, the little Easter eggs that Jennifer L. Armentrout gives you. I still like the characters and the romance in this book is one of the reasons why I love this book series and one of the reasons why I read this book. There's this little ongoing like running joke in the series about Willa Collins. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. And it turns out she is an Atlantean and like she's one of the elders of the council, and the elders, they come to the table, to the council, to discuss things when they need to put an input in, basically. And Castile like joking around with Poppy and just the banter between those two and the little red book of Willa Collins' sexual escapades and just Castile teasing Poppy basically never gets old. I will read that until the day I die. In order for my brain to comprehend and try and figure out some things and to write it out and even talk it out to you, I had to go onto Goodreads and look at other people's reviews, which I don't really ever do, but I needed someone else's opinions on some things. And after I did that, I feel my brain is a little bit more clear about some things, about what could potentially be, but a lot of it is hypothetical. No, not hypothetical, theoretical. Oopsies. A lot of them are theoretical for me. And what I have added onto that discussion, some people have said that, and this is an aspect I never even thought of, but some people have said that Poppy is a little bit too overpowered. Like, how is it that she knows how to use these powers? No one's trained her, no one's given her any guidance, I guess you could say. I can see where they're coming from, but I would also like to add some things as well. The first point I would like to add to that discussion is I feel like the gods did jack shit. I feel like they did nothing to help Poppy. But in a way I can see it that because all the gods are in a deep sleep, right? So I can understand why they wouldn't want to get involved because like it's not really that battle anymore. And the fact that because they end up going to the Temple of the Gods, which is in Elysium, right? And when they did that, Nyktos, who is her grandfather, said to her, look, you have the power within you. Like, trust in that and you can do what you have to do, because she was going there to get his gods, which are dragons, which transform themselves into dragons, to defeat the revenants, which are like zombie soldiers in the Kingdom of Solace. And he said, I'm not doing anything with that, you have to do it yourself. So that's one aspect of why that she doesn't have training. And two, who the hell is going to train her in the mortal realm, which is where like Solace and Atlantia are in? Who's going to train them? No one knows how to train a god. Like, she has to rely on her own instincts and what feels right to her and just let her powers take over her, I guess you could say. Which brings it back to the whole emotional thing. Her reacting on her emotions thing. In some aspects I can see why she would rage. I'd be raging too. And another thing with the gods. They can't go into the mortal realm. The mortal realm is Solus and Atlantia. Because if they do, they will weaken considerably. And I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe that deep sleep has something to do with it. Oh, no, I think I know now. Because the primal gods are the gods that have created the lands, the earth, the sea, and probably even the people, so I can understand why. That they would be weakened in a way. It makes sense like why God and Jesus doesn't come down here. Okay. I'm thinking it through in my head and I can't say it in words, but it makes sense in my head a little bit. So yeah, okay, let's get to the other points. As I said before, Poppy and Castile's relationship is some of the best I've ever read. I love their relationship. It's heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time. Their relationship feels so mature. They talk about their shit and they don't like they say, okay, we gotta talk about these things like mature adults. I don't want any lies or any secrets between us. And oh, it's so good. Like the steaminess between them. Top tier shit right there. Something that Willa Collins had said to Poppy makes me think about how much they mean to each other. And she said that they were basically, because she's like a bit of a seer, right? So she trusts on her instincts and she always said you were always meant to be together. I can't express it in words, but all I can say is it's really beautiful and I really should read that little paragraph again. I have it like saved. So I thought to myself as I was writing down these notes, I thought to myself yesterday, I betcha I'm gonna have more to add when I finish filming and when I get into editing. And that the first one was true. I ended up thinking of some more things after I finished filming. Okay, so Poppy being overpowered, right? It is mentioned throughout book 3 and a little bit in book 2 that Poppy has these visions of seeing this figure, this ghostly white ghost-like, god-like looking figure, female figure who could very well be her grandmother, which is probably why she is overpowered because, especially with Nyktos giving Poppy and Castile's consent to be married in the second book. What I'm trying to say is the gods have kind of woken up again in a way to help Poppy. Like maybe this mysterious figure is what is giving her these powers and is what is helping her to train or to give her the bravery and the courage and the instinct is the word I'm looking for, to use these powers. So that's another food for thought to think about. And I've heard no one that's read these books talk about how the gods are overpowered. So yeah, another thing as well. And back again to the politics. I have heard some people say that they felt like it was just kind of thrown in there, as well as the plot just to quickly rush in to quickly like add something in there to extend it to like a 6-book series. Like, yes, it is true, you don't really get the politics or the plot that much until you get to this book, even when they arrive in Atlantia. But what if I were to say that the info dumps of book 2, well, info dumps, that doesn't bother me that much in book 2, and even some information that we get to know in book 1, if it was like a foreshadowing of sorts for the 3rd book. So like all those info dumps that we see in book 1 and 2 is like a build up to this book. And there is some jumping around between chapters which kind of jarred me a little bit. It threw me out because we get to see like so much travel, especially in the second one. Like even a little bit in the first one, we do get to see some like long extended travel, and like when we get to see them travel into the Temple of the Gods, we don't get to see them go back out, which I like, because if we were to see them go back out, that would be a bit annoying. So in that aspect, it did feel like a fantasy book, because there's not a lot of fantasy books where we usually focus on the travel. They always like jump around to like different days and stuff like that, so it does jump around a little bit. It didn't take too long to get used to it, but it is there, that back and forth. We get to see the journey into, but we don't get to see the journey out. because that would be a little bit long and it would be unnecessary basically. But overall, I loved it. Me writing down these notes and even me voicing my opinions on some things really helped to clear things up. So I'm happy about that. And I'm hoping, I can only hope and pray, we're going to get some answers in book 4, which is A Shadow in the Ember. Fingers crossed. Okay, that is it. Like just this little lonely book here. A lot of the books I read this month were on ebook, and look at this lonely little book just on its own. Poor thing. Anyway, yeah. Let me know in the comments down below what you read this month. Have you read any books? How many books you have read this month? What were your favorites, least favorites? Did you DNF any? And make sure you leave a like for this video as well. That is it for me. I will see you in the next video. Bye.